I want to share with you this idea that the power of a great question has the ability to change your entire life. And the reason I say that is this is that the act of thinking is really the act of asking and answering questions. And if we ask a bad question, we're going to get a bad answer. But if you ask a great question, you have the ability to get a great answer. So let me give you an example. If I was to ask the question of why does my life suck so much, my brain is going to go searching for an answer. And of course, it's not going to give me a good one. It'll find an answer, but it's not going to give me a good one in terms of helping me live a better life experience. But I'm going to share with you in a little bit, I'm going to share with you 3 questions that if you begin to ask these questions and reflect on the answers regularly, I believe this will help you live a greater life that's in alignment with who you really want to be, a greater life that's in alignment with truth, a greater life that's in alignment with who you really are than most things can in life. Questions have the ability to change your life. Most of us don't practice consciously asking great questions. And I want you to think about your own life. How often do you spend some time where you deliberately, I find writing really helps, where you deliberately write down a question and you stop and take the time to think about those answers, where you stop and take the time to actually write down the answers? How often are you doing that in your life right now? And if you're like most people, it's, rarely to never. And what happens is when we don't stop to ask the important questions, when we don't stop to reflect, when we don't pause and take some time to think about our life, where are we? Where are we going? Where do we want to be? It's so easy just to keep going through the motions another day. And you're stuck in the habitual way of living that you've been living. So you get up around the same time of day. You do the same thing. Maybe you check your phone, you check your Instagram, you check your Facebook, you check your email, you check your text messages. And depending what's happened there, that may or may not set you off in a certain way. But then you're getting the kids ready, or you're getting yourself ready, and you drink your cup of coffee, and you get dressed in kind of the same way, and then you get ready for work in the same way, and then you go to work and you do pretty much the same thing every day, and then you drive home. If you drive home, kind of the same way, and you have similar meals all the time. And I fall into this too, so don't get me wrong. And then you have the same kind of conversations, and you watch the same shows, and you do the same stuff, and on, and you end up just doing the same day over and over. Kind of like Bill Murray's Groundhog Day. If we don't stop to ask questions, we can pretty much live the same life day in and day out over and over, and not a lot changes. But for those of us that want things to change, and of course we want it to change, we all want to evolve. We all want to grow. We all want to become greater than where we've been up to this point in our life. And that's part of the spiritual nature, the spiritual DNA of who we are, because that essence, that energy of who we truly are is always for greater expansion. It's always for greater fulfillment. It's always to grow, to become more. If you look at the history of the entire universe, it's always been for expansion, for growth. From the Big Bang all the way to where we are now and the evolution of mankind and humankind, it's all for growth, for progress. And that's you too. You're a spiritual being, and all of us, we're here to grow. We're here to become more, to recognize more of who we really are, which ultimately is we are that wonderful, limitless, unlimited, pure, positive energy and potential. You can call that whatever you want. I like to refer to it as source. I like to refer to it as spirit, the divine. It's up to you what you choose to call it. But all of us, that is our true nature, and we're coming into greater and greater recognition of it. So questions, if we don't ask them, then that part of us just shrinks down. And, I'll tell you a quick story. As I began my business life and my personal growth life too, and even a little bit of spiritual development, I spent probably that first decade, 10, 12 years, heavily focused on just producing outer results. How much money was I making? How much was my business growing? And those, honestly, those were kind of the two main measures. I'd focus on my health a little bit, but I really wasn't focused on necessarily too many of the questions that would help me become who I really wanted to become. That doesn't mean I didn't achieve goals. I definitely did. And I think goals can be very valuable. I still am a big fan of them. I use them. And I also believe that there's really important questions to ask that help us make sure that all the getting that we're doing, all the efforts we're putting in, all the chasing we're doing, all the everything is moving us towards this ideal vision and version of who we truly want to be. Not just the things, the material things that we want in our life, not just the success and the fortune and the fame, etc., but who do we really desire to be? And so I'm excited to share with you the power of these three questions and what they can do for you in your life. So that was me. That's my first decade. Achieved some success, but was never satisfied, was never fulfilled. No matter how much success I did get, no matter what goal I reached, it was good for about a day or two, maybe a week or two. And then I'm on to the next thing. And life was always going to be better. And it wasn't until I really realized that, no, there's got to be a better way. There has to be a more empowering way to live and to grow and to become. And then I started more on this study of diving more into who I really am and diving more into the spiritual element of my life. And ultimately what that was I read a lot of New Thought books, which I love diving into, things like As a Man Thinketh by James Allen and, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, to Your Invisible Power by Genevieve B. Rand, and studied many different programs and got into meditation. And that changed my life. And I'm such a big fan of meditation for personal growth and developing the life that you really want. I can't talk enough about it. And by the way, if you're not into meditation yet, you want to become, there's a link in the bio here. Make sure you click that. I have a 7-day meditation challenge that can help you with that. So definitely click that below. And it's $7 to get started. It's nothing. And I think you'll love it. So meditation helped me so much. And then fast forward to, I guess it'd be almost 3 years ago now, 2.5, 3 years ago. I'm away by myself. I rented a cabin and I had just gone through a period of my life where I was stressing myself out. I was overworking myself and, I wasn't having a lot of fun in my life and I drifted off course. So I go away, I rent a cabin in the mountains in British Columbia and I spend a few days to myself and I've got a bunch of great books, that I love to study. That I'm reading those. I got my journal. I got some great food, got a nice bottle of wine, and I'm just having some time to myself. No Wi-Fi, no cell service, no anything. So I pull up. It's this beautiful log cabin, this small little loft log cabins. The loft is up top where you sleep, and then there's a tiny little living space with a wood stove fireplace, and then the kitchen and the bathroom. I mean, it's a small little log cabin. It's just beautiful. And like I said, it's out of service, out of anything. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no cell. About a 5-minute drive down the road, there's the Kicking Horse River, which is a glacier-fed river, and it's just beautiful. So I have a few days to myself, and I'm doing some meditations. I'm going for some great nature walks. I'm doing some cold therapy in this glacier-fed river, and I'm reflecting. And I have this moment of clarity one of the days that I realized these 3 questions. And these 3 questions changed my life. Some of them you may have heard before. Some of them you may even have answered at times. And what I've learned is that the questions are not 3 questions that you can answer once and I got it. But they're questions that we must continually ask ourselves to think about this truth of what we're really after. So let's begin. Let me give you question number 1. Question number 1 is, what do I want? Or what do you want? Now, you may have thought answers to that. What I find is that so many people are stuck in what they don't want. And their focus is often on the struggle. Their focus is often on what's missing in their life. The focus is often on how things aren't working the way that they want to, or their current situation and the things they don't like about their current situation. And if you stay stuck and focused on this current situation, where you are right now, if that's your focus, if that's your emphasis is what's going on right now, then that's what you keep recreating in your life. And through your own action, because the body always follows the mind. So if you're focused on that, then your action's going to be congruent with that. And through your own attraction, your own vibration and frequency, then you attract similar stuff. We have to stop and take the time to ask ourselves, what do I want? What do I want? And that may be a list of many things. I mean, there's things that you might want in terms of material possessions that you desire, places you'd like to go, but there's also ways that you want to feel, man. I want to feel amazing. I want to feel alive. I want to feel excited and inspired in my life. I want to feel grateful. I want to be in love with my life. Those may be things that you want in your life too. And they're a wonderful question. It is a wonderful question. What do I want? And I'm always writing this stuff, and I'll make lists of it all the time. And I'll think, well, what do I want now? And I might have a few things that I want right now. And those are my top desires that I'm creating in my life and manifesting in my life. But then sometimes it's things I want, in the big picture. And sometimes it's, I want to wake up excited again. And I've been at times in my life where, all I wanted was just to feel good. All I wanted was just to be in love with my life again, to be happy again. So I've definitely been there for sure. So what do I want is question number one. Question number two. Hey, sweetie, come on. Nice. Yeah, I'm just recording something. You get a little bit of Hannah today. Question number two is, who do I want to be? Now, this is a question that many achiever types ask the question of, what do I want? And so they're looking at, what do I want? And so they've got their list of goals. They've got the list of everything. But then the second question is, who do I want to be? Now, that's an important one, because if we don't stop to reflect on this, then we may be just continuing being the same old self that we always were. But when you think about who do you want to be, and then I'll give you examples of how you can expand it. I've got Hannah here with me. How are you, by the way? No, okay. She's home sick today. But who do I want to be as a father? And then I think about it. I want to be a kind father. I want to be a loving father. I want to be patient. Why, thank you so much. I want to be fun. I want to be caring. I want to be someone that challenges them to grow. And I think about who I want to be as a father. And I'll reflect on this too. And the same thing. Who do I want to be as a husband? Hey, chew with your mouth closed, please. Why? Because that's what we do. Who do I want to be as a husband? And then I think about, who do I want to be as a business leader? Who do I want to be in my health and fitness? Who do I want to be in the world, I guess? But it's these kind of identities that we can create. And keep in mind, an identity that you have right now is nothing more than a made-up identity. The truth is, you are not your identity. You act as your identity, yes, but you are not your identity. You can change that at any point in time. You are who you say you are, bottom line. You are who you say you are. So, who do I want to be? And reflect on that and think about that. And where do you want to go from what you want? And then who do I want to be? And then the third question that I really believe will help you change your life. And they're all important. So of course, this one's important too, is, how do I want to live? How do I want to live? That was a great exercise in who do I want to be. As Hannah came down, I just had to pause the recording here and practice some patience for sure. But going back to this idea, how do I want to live? How do you want to live? And this is a great question, because it causes us to really think about how we want to spend our days. And these can be questions as things like, I should say, more even as much as, okay, well, when would I like to get up, and how do I want to spend my time? What do I want to do with that time? How do I want to live? And how do I want to spend my days? And so when I think about this stuff, for me, what's important to me is that I'm working on my own personal growth. I'm working on my own spiritual development. I'm, spending time with my family in the day. Freedom is a big value for me. So I love having lots of free time throughout my day. And being in business, I have lots of that, which is great. And I also love service. I also love, feeling like I'm fulfilling my mission. I'm fulfilling my destiny. And I believe a big part of why I'm here is to help teach people in the world, to help teach people how to create a life that we love. That's what I'm passionate about, and learn these tips and strategies and, ways that we can actually do this. So how do I want to live? How do I want to spend my days? And I've reflected on this at various times, and I realized that I was not spending my days the way that I wanted to. I was not living my life the way that I really wanted to. I was living more out of what I thought I should be doing rather than how I really wanted to live. And if you don't stop to ask the questions and to actually take time to think and come up with the answers, a year could go by, 3 years could go by, 5 years, a decade. And we didn't live in alignment with who we really wanted to be. How do I want to live? And you may not be able to go from today where you are to the ideal of how you want to live, and I made the shift a day later. Here's what you can do, though. You can start making the next move. You could start making a small tweak, a small improvement. And that's what I want to end today with, is this idea that as you reflect on these questions and you think, what do I want? Who do I want to be? How do I want to live? And you're writing down the answers to these questions, and you're realizing, okay, well, hey, my life today is not those things yet, but I want more of those. There is small changes you could make. And I want to end with one more question for you. As you look at each of those areas, what do I want? Who do I want to be? How do I want to live? What's one small change that I can make in my life that is going to help me move towards the answers to these questions? That's going to help me move towards the ideal of who I am. So I want to encourage you, schedule some time this week, ideally today. If not today, schedule some time where you can take some time for you, yourself, your phone's off, and you're just going to reflect on these 3 questions that change my world. And I believe the more you reflect on them, they'll change your world too. So good to be with you. I hope one day that we get to meet in person if we haven't already yet. And I'm cheering for you. I'm excited for you. And I want you to know all those things that you're going to write down, you have the power within you, the ability within you to be, do, and have whatever you desire. I'll see you soon.